This is Fieldsports Channel News. The UK's Channel 4 News has, for a second week in a row, put out a slanted feature about grouse shooting. Reporter Jane Dodge interviews a gamekeeper on the North York moors about the effect of burning on peat below the heather. When he shows Dodge the peat is still wet after the fire, she suggests environmentalists might not believe him because he has a criminal record. She doesn't explain the link between the two. A week earlier, veteran journalist Alex Thompson broke major reporting rules by claiming a man who had not yet stood trial for allegedly killing a goshawk was guilty. In the same report, he touted as evidence hidden camera video provided by Luke Steele, who has more than one criminal conviction. Fieldsports News complained to Channel 4, which responded by saying Thompson's contempt of court and doorstepping of random people at a shoot was perfectly acceptable and was satisfied this was a fair and duly impartial report. MI5 is so concerned about animal rights extremists, it's set up a special unit. The intelligence agency, which is the United Kingdom's domestic counter-intelligence and security agency, says far-left single-issue terror threats are on a par with Islamist and far-right terrorism. According to The Telegraph, the team will focus on animal rights and anarchism. The unit is called LASIT, which stands for Left-Wing, Anarchist and Single-Issue Terrorism. Across Europe, there's been a surge recently in animal rights-related terrorism, with attacks on butchers' shops and arson at meat factories committed by vegan extremists. Badger supporters at Stop the Cull were last month accused of telephone terrorism for the release of names, addresses and phone numbers of Tory MPs who support the government-ordered culls. Antis are trying to deploy the Queen in their war against hunting. This time, it's big game hunting. They claim that the Queen will announce a new law banning the import of trophies by hunters in her annual announcement of parliamentary business, the Queen's Speech, which takes place at the state opening of Parliament, likely to be later in 2020. The UK's independent newspaper says the animal welfare bill will include tougher sentences for animal cruelty and a ban on keeping monkeys and apes as pets. During the last election, the Conservative manifesto included a plan to outlaw imports from trophy hunting of endangered animals. UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson said in February he was sticking to the plan. Johnson's fiancée, Carrie Symonds, is an animal rights activist. Thanks to Per Holmseth for the story. Antis who want to ban pheasant shooting have enlisted the help of adders. Britain's only venomous snake is under threat, says the Guardian newspaper. It quotes Nigel Hand, a trustee of amphibian and reptile groups of the UK, who claims the adder is on the brink of extinction in many sites across Britain. And it is the uncontrolled release of millions of pheasants by shooting estates which is pushing it over the brink. Nigel Hand is an associate of Mark Avery from the Wild Justice Group. The RSPB, Avery's former employer, is expected to call for restrictions on pheasant and partridge release this week. Anglers in Norfolk have served a High Court submission for a judicial review against Natural England and the Environment Agency. The Broads Angling Services Group and the Angling Trust oppose a plan to remove fish from Hoverton Broad, which we featured on Fieldsports Britain a few weeks ago. The project is mainly cosmetic and designed to make the water more clear. The groups accuse Natural England of being anti-fish. The submission was served through Fish Legal. It's unclear when the hearing will be. A farmer has taken her own life after someone complained about the way she was treating her sheep. Emma Watson died after an anonymous complaint to the RSPCA about the welfare of one of her animals. The 43-year-old was found by her mother in woods near their farm in Staffordshire in August 2019. An inquest heard she was upset after the complaint, despite an RSPCA inspector confirming there were no problems with any of her animals. Grouse moors in the north of England are welcoming a new lockdown visitor. A golden eagle has travelled from the south of Scotland. There haven't been any breeding pairs in the wild in England for some years. It's a bird from the South of Scotland Golden Eagle Project, which has been translocating the birds from the Scottish Highlands to a 140-mile strip from Weymouth in the east to the Mull of Galloway in the west. The Belgian government is introducing a punishment ban on game shooting. Anti-hunting Flemish Minister for Nature, Zuhal de Meer, introduced a local hunting ban for the rest of the season in West Flanders for pheasant, hare and partridge. The reason? The hunters have been planting captive birds in cages in fields to attract wild birds. De Meer admits that partridge shooting turns my stomach. Thanks to Richard Walton for that one. A court in the US has ordered Los Angeles to pay compensation to the National Rifle Association after it violated its rights. the city had said it would not use contractors who had ties to the NRA. A federal judge struck down the city ordinance as an infringement on the rights to free speech and association. He said the ordinance was designed to suppress the speech of the NRA and ordered officials to pay for the group's legal fees, which were nearly $150,000. The NRA filed the suit against the ordinance after it was implemented in April 2019. An NRA spokeswoman says violations of any constitutional rights by government officials should carry consequences. San Francisco tried to introduce a similar rule, but dropped it when the NRA threatened to sue. Now here's a first, a positive story about hunting and shooting from the UK's Guardian newspaper. It's all about a Maori who leads hunting weekends for women that are now so popular she has a long waiting list. Around 3,500 New Zealand women are waiting to go on one of 38-year-old Pioneer Tepai Homarsh's two-day courses in the dense vegetation of central North Island. Her day job is environmental ranger for her local tribe. And finally, thanks to Peter Meek, who bought a tin of Scottish shortbread from the Aldi supermarket. Scottish deerstalkers are interested to know where to find the local whitetail population. You are now up to date with Fieldsports Channel News. Stalking the stories, fishing for facts.